Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account. I'm your host, Rudo, joined by AJ Hafley.
Hey, what up, man?
It is finally mock draft season, I guess.
It is. We got mock draft today, draft tomorrow, and then mock draft Thursday, and then draft Friday.
Yeah,
and Saturday, I guess.
A lot of drafting going on.
Draft season. So might be the last time we ever get to do this, so this will be fun.
Yeah, that is true. Especially with the expansion draft. Who knows how long it'll be till another team comes in. I think we built a pretty good team here, AJ.
I like it more than some of the stats models do.
I think it's solid. I think it's versatile, but most importantly, I think it's going to earn us a lot of picks.
We should definitely be real about our intention here. We are not super trying to make the playoffs here.
Yeah.
In year one.
Definitely, there's a plan.
We're trying to sell some tickets. We're trying to get some people in the door. We're trying to get a couple of good players here and there. But for the most part, we're trying to trade all these dudes.
Yeah. We're trying to rack up assets come trade deadline, basically. All right. So let's jump right in. I guess we'll just go alphabetical order because that's the way Cap Friendly has it. Makes my life a little bit easier going through. First up, we have the Anaheim Ducks. They protected, obviously, John Gibson in net, Fowler, Lindholm, Manson on defense, and then Delorier, Jones, Lundestrom, Raquel, Silverberg, Sam Steele, and Troy Terry on the forward side. This was a weird one. We actually... this was one of a handful of teams that we waffled on who to take here and had to go back to a couple of times to make a final decision. There were a number of options. Defensively, they have Jacob Larson, Hayden Fleury, and Kevin Shattenkirk, I think all completely viable. And then on the forward side, they had Adam Henrique and Danton Heinen. There are a lot of ways you can go with Anaheim, AJ, but
it's funny because they suck, right?
Yeah,
the Ducks were not any good. And yet we had arguably as tough a time with this team as any other. When we sat down to do this last night, we talked about a couple of different options here, and I don't know, man. I like what we did here, but it was surprising. Like, I was tempted by the veteraniness of a Kevin Shattenkirk because you need guys like that, right? You can't go with an entire roster of third-year guys that are just trying to figure it all out who are 24 years old, and that's your entire team.
You end up with two breakout players and a horrible hockey team if you do that.
Well, and then you don't have any kind of culture.
Yeah.
Guys don't have set roles. It's just a bad way. It's a bad way to build. And yet our team looks like it does. Honestly, we were tempted here by a number of guys, but Hayden Fleury was the one that made the most sense for us.
Yep.
We just liked there's a youth and there's a reliability and there's a comfort with him as an actual NHL player, and he's cheap, and that's going to make him very attractive for other teams.
Yeah. Honestly, the centers weren't that much of a conversation for us.
Didn't even talk about Adam Henrique.
Yeah, Heinen just not quite making the cut, and Henrique paying $6 million for a guy who's going to end up being a bottom six player for you is just not. not a good reality to be in when you're trying to trade half your team.
Yeah, like Adam Henrique's still he's still a productive and okay NHL player, but just under $6 million is too much for him. At his age, the 3-year term is problematic.
Yep. We had originally looked at Larson for this, but ultimately went with Fleury. When you look at the underlyings, Fleury was just a better fit to round out our defense.
We wanted to pretend like we have an analytics department, which just meant going to the websites that we use for our analytics info.
Yep.
And that's exactly what we did, and we made our picks based off of that. In this case, we didn't. It's not that we ignored the analytics with the other picks. It was just that this was one of the picks where it played a real role.
Yep. So pick number 1 is Hayden Fleury from Anaheim for our team. One of the more interesting ones there, as we mentioned, there are a handful of bad teams that we'll get to in this list, and we'll be like, this team sucks, and we're just taking a guy.
Yep. I will also add only one guy, and this is not something that will happen tomorrow. They will do this more than once. Only one team we drafted a guy and just said,
we have no intention of dealing with this guy. Yeah.
We were told to draft somebody from this organization, so we did.
There are a handful of limitations to our mock draft here, right? We can't really make any trades.
Right. And we also did not consider the deals that may or may not be happening. Like for example, is Vlad Tarasenko getting drafted in order to be moved? Maybe, but we did not do that. We did not consider that. All we did is just drafted a team.
Yep, exactly. Just tried to make the best team for our goals by drafting it. So obviously that'll be a little bit different when Seattle can wheel and deal a little bit. Thank you for the super chat, Carrie. He says, Rudo AJ, if Landy walks, who will replace him? And I read that Makar isn't signing back with the Avs. All right. Makar is an RFA, so forget about that entirely. He will be an Av, even no matter what. Yeah. As far as replacing Landy, we'll cross that bridge when it happens.
Yep. If Landy leaves, then we'll get into that stuff. But until that actually takes place, again, we're not, that's not what today's show is.
Yep. But thank you for the super chat. It is much appreciated. Moving on to the Arizona Coyotes for our next expansion. Take a look. Kemper protected in net, Capobianco, Chikrin, OEL in defense. And then you have Kraus, Dvorak, Garland, Keller, Kessel, Larson, and Schmaltz protected on the front end. Look, this one was not hard for us. We talked about it on previous shows. The far and away most interesting exposed person was Christian Fischer off of his team, and it's not close. So we took Christian Fischer, and that was that, basically.
They're like, I like Lyubushkin on defense.
Yeah.
But we actually want Christian Fischer on our NHL team.
There are a handful of dudes that, yes, we want to make a lot of trades and gain assets on this team, but there also needs to be a core handful of guys that make up this roster. So it's not, here are your 2021 Seattle Kraken, and the 2022 have no returning faces.
Right. We didn't want complete roster turnover.
Yep.
Just mostly. So Christian Fischer is one of the guys that we want around.
Yep.
So he will be around.
A piece hanging around. Pay him a nice little raise after this year once he's at RFA.
We'll see how he does, but
I mean, if he stinks it up, there's obviously a different conversation there. But
but we want to give him an opportunity, and that's fine.
Yep, works pretty well. That one's easy. We're just going to move on to Boston next. In goal, they protected Vladar because Tuukka and Yaroslav Halak are UFAs. Halak already confirmed to be moving on. McAvoy, the name that I can't pronounce correctly, and Brandon Carlo protected on defense, and then Bergeron, Coyle, DeBrusque, Frederick, Marchand, Pasternak, and Smith on the forward side. This one was another one. Actually, this one was kind of weird because I thought we were going to get a better player out of Boston. I really did. And I'm not upset with what we ended up with, but
I was gonna say, what's this? This is not something that you brought up to me yesterday when we were picking from these guys.
I was just surprised at the lack of proper higher end talent not available from them.
I mean, I guess if we wanted to survey their UFAs,
yep,
we can always take a shot at Taylor Hall or David Krejci, and neither. It's kind of, I think it's kind of telling that we didn't even have the conversation. We didn't even talk about it.
Yeah, it's not. I guess that's kind of how they did it, right? Is those interesting pieces pending in the UFA, and in Krejci's case being 35.
Yeah, like I would, if I thought for a second Krejci would leave, I would be interested in him as like what we're going to do with Mark Giordano.
Yeah.
I would be interested in that, but I'm not I don't think we could convince Krejci to leave. So I didn't bother.
Yeah, I don't think we could either.
Grizzlick. That's how you say it. Chad is telling us that's how you say it.
Grizzlick, not Grizelczyk or whatever.
Cool.
In any case, as Samuel hit it right on the head here, we ended up going with Jeremy Lauzon out of Boston.
Yep. That was our guy. Some of this was out of need because Boston was one of those teams where we were pretty flexible with our pick.
Yep.
And we got to the end and we just hadn't taken as many defensemen as we expected.
Yep. And
so knowing that, we said, hey, we like Lauzon. We like his age. We like the versatility. He could play right and left for us. We like that he's also not so good that we absolutely have to put him in our everyday lineup.
Yep.
So if he's going to be our seventh or eighth guy, we really like that. And that was kind of our general approach there. We like everything about Lauzon. If he sticks and he plays for us, we're happy with that. If a team wants to come and pick him off of our roster, we're happy with that.
Yep. A nice little piece that you can kind of do whatever you want with on that front, and that'll start to take more shape as we get into more of the defensemen that we took. But moving right along, we have Buffalo up next.
Let's not take any time on this.
Yeah.
No interest in this roster.
Yep.
I like Jake McCabe as a UFA, but if I'm chasing a UFA, I'm doing it in UFA.
Yep.
So we took Tobias Reeder
to fire him into the sun.
We took Tobias Reeder. We didn't call him. And we told his agent we're not at all interested.
Yep.
Enjoy UFA. Good luck.
Yep. That was very simple. Not dealing with Buffalo. Not going to sign a dude from them. Goodbye.
Yep.
Moving to Calgary. Calgary protected Markstrom in goal. Hanifin, Anderson, Tanev on D, and then Kachuk, Backlund, Dubé, Gaudreau, Lindholm, Mangiapane, and Monahan on the forward side. This one, all right. So we were both in agreement that first of all, you need a handful of experienced veteran players on a new startup team.
Yep.
Mark Giordano, captain experience, old dude, still a quality defenseman, fits that type of role super well.
Yep.
And with only 1 year left on his deal, you can retain money and flip this dude at the deadline for whatever you want, and teams will be all over it.
Yep.
It literally checked every single box you could ever want as an expansion team.
Yep. This was so easy for us.
Yep.
It was I don't even know that we took 10 seconds on this one. We both agreed immediately. Let's take Giordano. Nods. Done.
Yep.
Giordano's our guy. If he wants to sign after the year, If he wants to stay and finish his career, we're happy to do that. Kind of do the Derek England thing, like what happened with Vegas.
Yep.
Except better, because Derek England kind of sucked and Mark Giordano doesn't.
Derek England was barely a serviceable NHLer, and
Yeah.
Mark Giordano won a Norris a handful of years ago. So,
yep. So this was maybe the easiest decision for us.
Yeah, the super easy slam dunk pick there. It doesn't matter if you want to build to win now or you just want to build to trade stuff and get assets. Giordano just fits.
Yep. And hey, if somebody rolls in and wants to give us a big time offer for Giordano right now before the season starts,
thank you very much. Yeah.
We're open for business, baby.
Yep, exactly right.
We're open for business. So, yeah, I think that would happen. I have full confidence that somebody would call us up and say, "Hey, for 1 year, we'll give you guys a first round pick. We'll give you guys a second round pick. Retain some of Gio's salary and let us have the old guy." Hey, very interested in that.
Another one that we use to be quite flexible with is Carolina. They protected Nedeljkovic in net, and then Slavin, Shea, Pesci defensively, Aho, Fast, Vogel, Stahl, Svechnikov, Teravainen, and Trocheck on the forward side.
Yep.
I think this ended up being one of the last picks we actually made.
I think it was our actual last pick.
Yeah.
Because we basically said, look, we aren't entirely sure what our roster is going to look like. Let's circle back and see how we feel.
Yep.
Because it was really, look, I really like Morgan Geekie, but Nino Niederreiter, that's still a quality player. The contract isn't so problematic, and then Jake Bean on defense. Those were the I think the choices for us there, and we wanted to see how our team shaped up first before we really made this pick. So that's exactly what we did, and at the end of it, we came back, and Jake Bean is our guy.
Yep. As we built the team, the realization that defense was going to be a need from some of our flex picks came through, and Jake Bean is someone we plan on putting in the roster for opening night, basically, or in the lineup rather for opening night. So
the big thing that we really need from Jake Bean after the defense that we've built here, the defense that we're looking at, we really needed a guy to run a power play for us.
Yep.
We really needed a puck mover of some kind, because we built a good defensive team, but we didn't build one that we love when it comes to pushing the pace.
Yep.
And moving the puck up the ice. And that's where Jake Bean really stood out for us when we went back and, and also some of the forward choices made it so that Niederreiter was less of a need for us.
Yeah.
So Jake Bean, baby.
One more in period one here. Let's do Chicago. Excuse me. Right quickly here. Lankin and protected in net, Jones, Murphy, Stillman defense, Borgstrom, DeBrincat, Hagel, Kampf, Kane, Strome, and Tays on the forward side. This one, it felt a little bit like pick your poison on the defensive side. You could have gone with DeHaan if you preferred over Zadorov, depending on how you feel about what Zadorov's next contract is going to look like. But we ultimately went with Zadorov. The forward side, not super interesting unless you really are into Ryan Carpenter.
Yeah, there were some forwards that it was like, I like these guys. Like I'm an Adam Gaudette fan.
But
when we got to the end of our roster here and we were looking around, it was like, he's not going to have a role here. So we took Z. And I want to make it very clear here that our intention is not to keep him.
Yep.
We are both really uncomfortable with the idea of paying him what his rumored asking price has been, which has been north of $5 million on a multi-year deal.
No shot, bud.
He has every reason to want some security. because he's been doing the 1 to 2 year deal and kind of living, year to year for a while now.
Yep.
And now that he's approaching free agency, he wants a little bit of security. I think somebody will give it to him, and he has every reason to be after that. But somebody's gonna have to give us a pick for him.
Yep.
So
if he does end up playing for the team, pretty easy to drop him in as a defensive end guy.
Yeah, I mean, if he ends up playing for us, we didn't get what we wanted, but we're comfortable with him on our third pair.
Yeah. He can play in the NHL and be just fine.
Yeah, it's not like Nikita Zadorov's a bad player.
Yep, exactly right. All right, we can take a break on that note, as we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR, or you can get their hard seltzers as well, the Good Company 15-can sampler pack. Delicious stuff. You can get them beers down at the DNVR bar, get hard seltzers by a local liquor store near you. You can use their Breck Beer locator online to find it over wherever you might be in the States, at least. We also have, do we know Seattle's arena sponsor yet?
What do you mean? It's Climate Change Arena.
Is that what it is? I don't actually know. I haven't looked into their arena at all.
Or Climate Awareness Arena or Climate Pledge. Oh, it's Climate Pledge Arena.
Okay, there you go.
That was it. Climate Pledge Arena.
Well,
I saw somebody say that they should get the pledge, like the cleaner, as their sponsor.
There you go.
So it can be the Climate Pledge Arena.
So I have to think that Ball Arena is a better name than that. But
yeah.
In any case,
Lemon Pledge Climate Pledge Arena.
Lemon Pledge Climate. So instead of having that mouthful, go to Ball Arena and.
Oh, I thought that was a Manscaped read.
No,
I thought that was going in a very different direction.
Yes, it's all on high alert.
Yeah,
I literally was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to remove you, Bruno."
No, not this time. This time, Ball Corporation just wants you to work for them. Obviously, they pay a great living wage. Down in Golden, you can get into contact with them at their plant for making aluminum cans, but they also do a bunch of other stuff, including some aerospace things and satellite tracking of resources on Earth here. So a bunch of options. Check them out.
When you say resources, you mean people, right? Because we all just got microchipped with this vaccine.
Oh, God. Here we go. Okay. Like 5 people in the chat actually are going to believe you when you say that, right?
Clearly, I'm very much kidding. You're that worried about being tracked? Stop. You need to close your Facebook account immediately.
You should not be on YouTube at all.
Yeah. Do not use social media.
In any case, Ball Arena, Ball Corporation, they are hiring. You can text Golden to 77222 or go to jobs.ball.com to apply for the place down in Golden. I believe they're hiring over 400 positions. As I said, they are also paying a nice living wage. So if you're out there looking for a job, Ball definitely a great option. Be sure to check them out.
Well, jokes aside, it's a great place to work.
They definitely won't microchip you, so you got that going for you.
Okay, well, I don't want to start making promises I can't keep.
I don't know much about factory jobs, but I've never heard of a factory injecting anyone with a microchip. So
I'm gonna dip out of this immediately before I keep joking around and having a good time here, and somebody takes me seriously and I end up fired.
All right. So instead, give us some money. Head on over to thednvr.com. Consider signing up for an annual membership. Obviously, you get all of our amazing content, but you get a bunch of bonuses as well. You get the big beers to spit out. You get a free shirt with the annual membership, a bunch of other stuff as well. We of course appreciate the super chats as well. Sasha continuing to creep up the dollar amount on the yacht fund. We'll get there someday. But
how long did we do the math on how long it would take? $10 at a time?
Yeah, it's like thousands of years or something insane.
Like 26. Yeah, like thousands of years.
Yeah.
26,000? 2,600? Something like that. I suck at math.
Don't do math live on air. One of the rules of our show.
We continue to make that mistake at least like twice a week.
I fully embrace that I am terrible at math. That's why I'm in this profession.
Yeah,
so I
that's why we all
have
are.
to do that again.
None of us can get through math classes.
Hate it. A fifth grader would probably be smarter than me when it comes to math, especially
Do you remember that old TV show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Guess what?
Of course.
I wasn't.
I was on a good amount of stuff. Math, no. History.
But when math starts, you start throwing parentheses into math, you lose me.
You might not be smarter than a fifth grader in the classroom, but you ask any sports question and you're taking that fifth grader to a poster. All right.
I thought you were going to be inappropriate again. I was like,
it's
true.
It's true.
We're on a roll here. Microchips, fifth graders.
P.S. We have started trivia nights at the bar on Tuesdays.
First one is tonight.
It is tonight, and I was in charge of writing the Denver sports questions. So when you get all of them except for one of them wrong, you know who to blame.
Yeah. All right. I feel like I made the ads ones really attainable.
Hard?
No, I was able to answer 4 of them without looking them up, but they're all draft related because it was draft week. So,
but you are different than most humans.
Yeah, well,
you and Ryan have this knowledge where, it's like, whoa, how do you remember something like that?
Yeah, one of them should be very easy. Very.
Right, I'm gonna be mad tonight, and I'm gonna blame AJ. So
okay,
you should be able to get at least 3 of the Avalanche questions.
Yeah,
though.
The one that's very easy is an ads question that I wrote. So
it's gonna be a fun night. Come down here. It'll be a good time.
All right, let's get back into it as we did leave off with the Avalanche as the next pick for Seattle.
What to do here?
Grubauer protected, Makar, Taves, Girard defensively, then McKinnon, Rantanen, Burakovsky, Kadri, Nichushkin, Najost, and O'Connor. Look, with Graves traded out, there's just nothing interesting on the Avs defensive side. The forward options, realistically, unless they just want to take a nobody off the roster, are Jonas Donskoy, JT Compher, or YOLO on a free agent Landeskog. As already stated, wherever possible, if we could get a free agent, we just wait for free agency to sign them.
Yeah,
so and that kind of eliminates Landy.
Much like what I've been hearing about how Seattle is approaching Colorado's pick. The expectation for right now is that it will not be Gabe Landeskog.
All righty. So that pretty much narrows it down to Donskoy and Compher.
Does it? We have an analytics department, remember? And Jacob, no, I'm just totally kidding. Yes, we're not wasting time with that. No, it's Donskoy or Compher for us. And as we went and kind of built our roster, the one thing that we really, really, really wanted was JT Compher's versatility.
Yep. Dude can play all 3 forward positions.
Yep. And unlike the majority of Colorado's fan base these days, we aren't of the opinion that JT Compher is a horrible NHL player.
Yeah.
We're
believers in his longer track record of being a solid third line-ish guy.
Yep.
Can play up for a little bit if you absolutely need him to. Can play fourth line, no problem. And most importantly, can move anywhere around the lineup. That was the real selling point for me on Compher.
Yep, because we are expecting to move a lot of forwards in and out throughout the season via trade and even immediately after the draft. One thing that we know that we're comfortable with JT Compher is that if he has to play center, then he's a center. If he has to play wing, we can put him on wing, and we can put him anywhere in our lineup between lines 2 and 4. We're comfortable with that. The same thing is true of Jonas Donskoy in terms of the line versatility.
But he can't play center.
He's not a center, and he's 3 years older than Donskoy, and I want JT's prime.
Yep.
I think he's got an 18-goal season in him. Sure. And if you have an 18-goal season in you, you could get a little bit lucky and have a 20-goal season in you.
Yeah.
Yes. The perfect description of JT Compher is that he is whelming.
Yep.
So we will go with that. He is our pick from the Avs.
Yep. Compher going to Seattle from the Avs. That's the word on the street, and I think it makes a good amount of sense. So,
yeah, the word so far has been that they, for the same reasons that we did, they like JT.
Yep. All right. Columbus Blue Jackets up next, protecting Korpisalo in net. Jones, Werenski, and Gavrikov defensively, and then Cam Atkinson, Gustav Nyquist, Patrick Laine, Boone Jenner, Oliver Borkstrand, Jack Roslovic, and Eric Robinson. On the forward side, this was another one that it didn't take us very long at all. Max Domi is left available here. For a team like Seattle, someone like that is a potential 1C option.
Yeah, and realistically, you're talking, so there's a plan here.
Yep.
And Max Domi fits our age range. Max Domi fits our number one need, which is a guy to play first line center for us.
Yep.
And look, we're comfortable with him going into the final year of his deal. If he goes off and he wants a big UFA deal, give it to him. Happy to do that. If he doesn't go off and it's a total disaster, flip. Yeah, he can either go. We can either move him at the deadline, or we can just let him leave in free agency. I'm completely fine with either one of those. If it goes really poorly,
yeah, I mean there has to be interest to flip him, right?
So, well, I mean, you never know. So, this was an easy one. Look, this is. I'm not entirely sure why Columbus thought this was the move, but whatever.
Yeah.
Columbus has been a goofy. They've got their problems. So yeah. I'm happy to just take him and move on.
No problem there. Domi,
we have our number one center.
Domi, arguably the most important pick of the draft for the way we ended up building our team.
Yep. Yeah, I would say that's probably true. And he is hurt right now. He is going to need, I believe, surgery, and will miss part of the season. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
None of that bothers me. The upside outweighs him missing. Oh no, 2 months. Oh, life is over. I'm good.
Again, this is a team that's trying to trade half its roster. So
yeah.
Not too worried about winning a ton.
Yeah, and this is also with the expectation of drafting Matty Beniers second overall.
Yeah.
So if Matty Beniers rolls in, and that's our guy, great. Very happy with that. A Beniers Domi center depth in year 2. I'm good with that. I'm very happy with that. If they don't take Domi and they take Kevin Stenlund, then that's fine.
Sure.
Then they're taking winning even less seriously than we are.
Right. That's pretty neat. Dallas up next. Khudobin in net. Klingberg, Lindell, Heiskanen on defense.
Right. I forgot about this.
Yeah.
I forgot about this.
Ben, Fox, Gurianov, Hintz, Pavelski, Radulov, Sagan, protected on the forward side with a bunch of NMCs there. But Ben Bishop waived his NMC.
Yep.
And after a long, winding conversation and debate, we ended up going with Ben Bishop.
Yep.
And best case scenario might just be that Ben Bishop gets LTIR next year.
Yeah. So there's a rhyme and a reason to what we did with Ben Bishop that will make more sense later. But for right now, we took Ben Bishop. We like the upside if he's healthy. We don't love the injury history, and so we did guard against that.
Yep.
So we'll see. But this does make sense at the end, and we'll get into it when we
feel the whole roster out. It does make sense. And the other point to make there is if you're not taking Bishop, you're looking at like a Blake Como.
Yeah, Blake Como was the guy we were taking if it wasn't Ben Bishop, and if we weren't going to take Blake Como, then we were taking nobody.
Yep.
So we decided to roll the dice on the goaltender instead.
Yep. You have to pick 3.
Yep, you had to pick 3, and I actually really like how we went about this. When I look at the end product of it, I think it's a really smart approach to a tough position.
Detroit up next. We don't even need to show who Detroit protected. The ones are protected. Yeah,
this was very close to a pass.
Yep. There are 2 guys that are worth anything on this list, and that's Vlad Nemesnikov and Troy Stecher.
Yep.
And either one, it feels like you're getting just a flip if you can.
I will say there are things that I like about Christian Juice's game, and Dennis Cholowski would have 100% fit the
he could have gone the younger
upside
guy
youth kind of mold, but we really we got guys who are both young and better than Cholowski.
Yep.
So we backed off of that. I have been a big Troy Stecher fan for a long time, but again, with the defense that we built, we felt like, again, versatility, veteran, cheap contract, 1 year. Loved everything that we're getting out of Vlad Nemesnikov. We loved.
Already has proven value as a deadline asset.
Yep.
So, seems like an easy one.
Yep.
Let's get out of that terrible city. Edmonton up next.
This one, we left some guys on the board here.
This one was a 1. Bear, Keith, Nurse, protected defensively. Archibald, Draisaitl, Cassian, McDavid, RNH, Puljujarvi, and Yamamoto on the forward side. This one was certainly interesting. The first conversation we had to have was, do we care that Klefbom is going to be out for another year?
I did.
Yeah.
The uncertainty of Klefbom is the only reason I didn't take him. I don't know what the future of his career looks like here.
Yep.
Otherwise, Oscar Klefbom has shown that he can be a legit higher caliber of defenseman in the NHL. And for $4 million for the next 2 years, even if he misses this entire season, I was happy to take that chance, because you're either getting the guy and he's healthy and you like that, right? Or he's not and you took a chance on him. It doesn't cost you much of anything here.
Yep.
So I was tempted by Klefbom. To be honest with you, I was tempted by Adam Larson. I really like Adam Larson as who he is. Good, solid, like steady defensive defenseman with enough puck skill that it doesn't drown you.
Yep.
Yeah. But not a play driver, but a good defender. Does everything well. But again, I mean, we don't want to load up on 28-year-old dudes who are in the heart of their career trying to win shit right now. You know, we're just not that organization. We're not taking that approach. The forward core was a whole bunch of landmines, and then Tyler Benson. Tyler Benson is the pick.
Yeah, we went with Benson. Ultimately, look, he's 23. Another one of our upside style bets and can fit in for us.
Yep.
The only other forward I think we really considered was Kyra.
Yep.
But ultimately, an RFA at 26, we just took the upside play in Benson.
Yep. I want to see, you and I are both consumers of the AHL.
Yep.
Tyler Benson has been a really good AHL player, just looking for an opportunity to
get in and do his stuff in the NHL.
Yep. And so we don't actually have him in our opening night lineup, but he is a guy that we, throughout the course of the season, our goal is to get him into the lineup and playing.
I mean, as stated, with things like a potential Domi injury holding him out early, it would be hard to get him in. Yeah,
trying to move Nemestikov at any point throughout the season for anything, you know, we want Tyler Benson in our lineup at some point.
Yep. So not too difficult there. Florida Panthers are up next. I don't think we really need to go into detail with this one. Obviously, the rumors about Driedger are already out there for Seattle, and we just went with those. Ended up taking Chris Driedger as our pick from Florida for the goaltending spot.
Yep.
Not going to complicate that one too much.
Yep.
Seems like it was a done deal. So.
Yep. And maybe there's a side deal in the real world where Driedger is going to sign as a UFA, and they end up with a player here.
Yeah, they can take some random dude off of the list, but
fine. But again, we weren't really spending our time on that stuff, so we took Chris Driedger, knowing that he's agreed to contract terms with them.
Yeah, if it ends up that they also end up picking Gudas or Nudivar or something, then
or Vetrano or Achari or any of these guys.
Great,
so.
But cross that bridge if Seattle wants to make a trade. Again, we didn't really dive into the trade side of it because it just gets way too complicated at that point.
Yeah. And honestly, it doesn't matter if they protected Bobrovsky. He wouldn't have been picked. It doesn't. Spencer Knight's their guy.
Los Angeles up next.
We had a hard time here.
First of all, we had to discount Jonathan Quick as an option because we went with Ben Bishop.
Yeah.
For me, at least, it was one or the other.
Agreed.
You can't do both because you're just going to end up having $5 million on your bench doing nothing in goal, and that's if Quick is even still a decent goaltender, which is debatable. But couldn't go with that route. Their defense, nothing of interest unless you want to be dumb and take Olimata, who is a journeyman at this point.
Yep.
And then the forward side, as much as I would have loved AJ to convince AJ to take Anthus and Asiu, wasn't having it.
Yeah, I vetoed.
So,
Kale Clegg on defense, interesting, and especially would have fit that puck mover mold
for sure.
The problem with Kale Clegg is that even on a bad Kings defense, he has not proven the ability to stick.
He's Jake Bean, but worse.
Exactly. And so it was like, why bother? So we agreed on the young player that we both really liked here, under contract for a year, just 24 years old.
Wagner.
Yeah, Austin Wagner, 2 years at $1 million. Come on.
Yeah, the only other competitor was Lemieux, and I think AJ asked about it, and I straight up said I just don't think he's very good. So,
yeah,
Wagner
That was our conversation about Brendan Lemieux. Yeah. Any temptation by Lemieux? I don't think he's very good. All right, let's take Austin Wagner.
Yep, exactly right.
The name Carl Grunstrom was also said out loud, and then
yes, we did mention it, but quickly moved on.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I think Austin Wagner has a very Matt Nieto future.
Yep. 100% a dude that just hangs out as the bottom 6 dude in the league, running around, working hard.
Yep.
Minnesota next.
This was like Carolina. This was one where we actually
A lot of flexibility for sure.
we circled back
Yep.
to Minnesota at the end after we had built the rest of our roster to make the pick.
Because realistically, they left available a decent player in each position.
Yep.
Instead, forward side, Carson Soucy on the defense, and then obviously Kakkinen in goal.
Yep. Not tempted by Andrew Hammond.
No. But we finalized the pick as one of our last picks. Well, we locked it in loosely and then confirmed it later that it ended up being Kakkinen for us.
Yep. So we have Capo Kakkinen as our second goaltender taken.
Yep.
Officially.
Third, sort of. But
the big thing here, the big thing for us with Kakkinen is that he is still waiver exempt.
Yep.
So if Ben Bishop is healthy, Ben Bishop is probably our starting goaltender on opening night, maybe with Chris Drieger. I guess we did also take Chris Drieger, so this is our third goaltender. I just blanked on that. I'm a moron. We picked Capo because he's either our backup goaltender, which he was very solid in that role for the Wild last year, if Ben Bishop isn't healthy, or he's our number one AHL guy and our third dude behind Drieger and Bishop if Bishop is healthy. And his waiver exemption means we don't have to worry about it. And we don't have to worry about losing him on waivers. We can send him down at will all season long and never have to consider it. That was a big factor for us.
We dug through a number of goalies, and all of the goalies we were interested in as a potential third were not waiver eligible. So
and it's not that there's a major fear of these third goaltenders getting claimed, because outside of before last year, it's not a super common thing, but it does happen when teams have injury issues and are desperate. And we just liked the comfort of not having to worry about it for a year. And whatever happens with Drieger, look, if Ben Bishop is healthy, Ben Bishop has value, will have value around the league.
Exactly. That's best case scenario for us, right? Given our target of trading players. Bishop gets healthy, plays well, teams get interested.
Yep.
You ship him out, and then you're running Drieger and Kappinen.
Yep.
Kakkinen, rather.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. So
we really like the three goaltenders that we have. We really like the depth chart. We like the reasoning behind all of it. We like the money spent between Bishop and Drieger's reported deal. Just under $8 million. Very happy with that.
Yep. Easy, I think, ultimately at the end of the day. Montreal.
I guess just over $8 million.
Up next, they're protecting Allen and net. Defensively, Chirot, Edmondson, Petrie, Anderson, Armia, Evans, Gallagher, Kotkaniemi, Lehkonen, and Toffoli on the forward side. No real interest in Shea Weber, right?
No, we did not have any interest in Shea Weber.
So the options here are you can YOLO Carey Price.
I will say would have had interest in Shea Weber for the Mark Giordano role had the injury stuff not come out.
Sure. I still think it would have made more sense to go with Giordano, as you'll see with the rest of Montreal's list. But you could YOLO Carey Price. You could do something like target a UFA like Philip Deneau if he makes it there.
Yeah.
But also Jonathan Drouin.
Yep. We needed we need to roll the dice on some upside guys. We did it with Max Domi. Only 2 years left on Drouin's deal, so we can look. We're just taking the chance. I'm not. We've got lots of depth, guys. Okay.
Yep.
We're just gonna take the chance here.
The reality is there aren't that many dudes available in this draft that are legitimate top 6 forwards.
Yep. that can give you 50 points.
Yep.
And we think the combination eventually of Max Domi and Jonathan Duran on the top line is very intriguing. And then the third guy that we have ticketed for that top line, we're not the worst top line in the NHL.
Arizona
still exists.
Nashville up next. This one, I won't lie to you. I was tempted to take Ryan Johansson, a little bit of the big bait, but the cap hit of $8 million is just too much, even for me. Saros protected net, Forsberg, Janot, and Kunin on the forward side, and then Carrier, Ekholm, Fabro, Yossi, and Myers defensively. This one,
he wouldn't let me take Connor Ingram.
I would not let him take Connor Ingram. We're not doing it. Even like when we looked back and we were like, well, maybe we don't do Bishop and we figure out a way, and we were still like, nah, Ingram doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But ultimately we ended up taking Yakov Trenin as a younger-ish RFA guy. Maybe you get something out of him. Not the end of the world if he never really turns into a significant piece for you.
Yep. Didn't want Jan Kruk. Didn't want Sissons.
Yep.
I think Trenin could do what those cats have done, but he's younger, he's cheaper, and on the off chance that Cole Hamilton watches this, he will have a good hearty chuckle at Yakov Trenin. Again,
bottom six forwards, particularly bottom six wingers, are a dime a dozen in this draft.
Yep.
So you take Trenin. If he is solid, you have RFA rights with him. You can continue that relationship. If not, whatever. No harm, no foul. With Yarncroke, you only get him for 1 year. With Sissons, you're worried about that contract for the next 5 years.
Yep. There was no chance of Sissons. Yarncroke was at least intriguing, but with Sissons, it was like, no.
Yep. Pretty much. Obviously, they protected everything interesting on the defensive side. So,
yeah.
New Jersey is up next.
Really bummed we didn't have a shot at Ryan Graves on this one.
Yeah, unfortunate for Seattle. Blackwood and net, obviously Graves, and then Severson and Siegenthaler defensively. Brat, Hischier, Gianni Kuokkanen, is that right? Probably not.
Gianni Kuokkanen.
McLeod, not even going to try that one. Wood and Zaka.
Oh, what's wrong with Igor?
Nothing's. Is it Igor or is it Yegor?
I mean, you know how Russians are with their names. Is it Evgeny with a Y or Evgeny with an I?
Yeah, for sure.
Is it it's how it is, man.
Not a ton from this roster. The defensive side, Butcher was just not very enticing for us.
Yeah, we needed a puck mover, but we didn't want a puck mover who has just been getting worse every year.
Yeah, was literally living off of a power play and nothing else at the start of his career, and hasn't done anything else.
Yeah, we were just not sold there. We were, I was more tempted by PK Subban,
which was to say not tempted at all.
I mean, Mark Giordano and PK Subban as your top pairing would have been pretty funny for the. It's always 2010 for people.
Look, the forwards. Some interest in Andreas Janssen.
Yeah, the injuries, the injuries and the contract, the combination of injuries and contract is what turned me off of that.
Sure.
In a league without a salary cap that's moving up, it's very difficult to move money right now.
Yep.
And I don't want to just get stuck with an Andreas Janssen where it's just like, yeah, he's a nice player, and we only have so many salary retention slots. And that's a guy that you would have to eat some money in order to move him, and you just wouldn't be getting very much in return. And it just, we're happy to use our retention slots when we have to, and this wasn't worth it. So this wasn't. Ultimately, this all kind of worked its way into being an obvious choice. It didn't start that way, but the more we got into it, the easier it became.
Yeah, well, chat has nailed it as well with Nathan Bastian.
Yeah.
Pretty quick and easy one.
Yep.
If you really wanted to, if you really liked one of their younger guys, you could have gone with Student Each or something, I guess. But
yeah, like there were, yeah. If you really had a hankering for one of these guys, then sure,
pick your RFA. But Bastian was the one with the most experience and made the most sense. So
yep, and like good numbers. Want to see what he does in a bigger role.
Yep. Which that's the whole thing with an expansion draft team, right? You're going to have an opportunity to give a bunch of dudes bigger roles.
Yep. And especially because we expect to move some of these guys on draft night. Although we didn't bake that into our final lineup.
Yeah.
Because we don't know which teams would come calling. But this was a guy that we wanted to.
For the record,
make it happen.
This team had zero trouble making the cap floor.
Yep. We haven't gotten there yet, but we're about to start spending some money.
Yep. We can do that in just a second, as we are brought to you all by Solace Meds. You can go to one just a couple blocks down from the DNVR bar. Check out online for pickup and use code DNVR20 to get 20% off. The pickup's super easy. You just drive up, walk in, get your stuff, and walk out. No hassle at all. Jump on it. Super awesome. And they have a bunch of deals in store as well if you want to browse and check them out. Then we have, this one is a hassle, but a good kind of hassle. Hassle Cattle Company.
The hassle you want.
Yeah, not a hassle, but the Hassle Cattle Company. You can get 10% off with code DNVR10. They have, I can't recommend their meat enough. Just go to the bar and try the burger, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about
So
when you
good.
have it. Like, it's absurdly delicious. You want to order some Hassle after you have it. Check it out. Get on it. Get all your friends in it. We were trying to do a group order for the DNVR gang in our Slack channel, and our Rockies guy Drew Kreisman was, well, you all know Drew. He's on here in the crease all the time. He was like, I don't need a group order. I just order $200 of Hassle by myself. So
He straight up was like, why do we need a group order? And we were like, so we get the free shipping. And he was like, I do that on my own.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, you do you, brother. Jesus.
Yeah. He's spending big on the Hassle. So
between StravaCraft and Hassle, I feel like we've changed Drew's life.
For real. He's living the dream out there. And then, of course, our brought to you by sponsor here on the Avs podcast, DraftKings Sportsbook. Now is like every couple of months, they have one of these really great offers, and this is the one going on right now. Bet $1 to win $100 if the United States wins any medal at the Olympics. It doesn't even have to be gold. Any bronze medal gets you $100 if you join DraftKings Sportsbook right now and make the bet. So
the only I wonder, do they get out of that if the Olympics get canceled again?
I'm sure they'll refund you your $1.
They have to like release a press statement like, hey,
yeah,
we can't give you that $1 back. Sorry. You just can't, like all the airlines during the pandemic were like, oh, you want cash back? We're going to give you flight credit.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we're not about to just start refunding folks hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, not happening. But for $1, I think DraftKings could do it. I also think that this Olympics is going forward no matter what, but we'll see.
Despite
issues. In any case, don't worry about that. If the Olympics are a concern for you, you can bet on any other sport basically in the world with DraftKings. I don't think you could have bet on the race to world first, but anything beyond that, you could pretty much bet on.
Watched it end this morning.
Yeah, me too.
It was hard. I was struggling to stay awake, but was bummed. Was bummed it was Echo and not Limit, but I was thrilled that it was such a good race.
It was a great race for real. Hoped it would be a little bit longer, but not the point. Head on over to DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet on all your favorite sports. You can even do live betting. One of my favorite bets is first pitch strike. So download that top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and don't forget to use that DNVR promo code. Get a free $100 from the Olympics because you can with a new account. Limited time only. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Yeah, Sasha, I still have a ticket to Japan that I haven't used.
I still have some flight credits because when the world shut down, I was supposed to fly to Minnesota and then fly to Winnipeg. And then after last fall when I went to Winnipeg, I ended up redeeming the Winnipeg part of my trip.
Yep.
And it was the credit was enough to get me to fly, oddly enough, to Minnesota and then to Winnipeg. But I still have the 2 Minnesota flight credit just sitting there.
Yeah, we'll see, Sasha. Maybe next summer it'll happen, but
I keep telling him, I'm like, you've got to do it. You've got to do it.
We'll see. Someday.
You've got to do it, bro.
Getting back in to our list. Next up, the New York Islanders protected Varley, Bayfield, Pelech, Polak, Barzal, Beauvillier, Clutterbuck, Lee, Martin, Nelson, Peugeot. We had a decent conversation about this one. AJ was in Josh Bailey's camp. I was in Jordan Eberle's camp.
Yeah.
Thank you, James, for the $20. Very generous of you on the super chat.
Appreciate you, my man.
All right. So yachts travel, right? So that counts towards the yacht fund.
Yeah.
Confirmed. All right. Just checking. On this one, it really did come down to one of those two for us, Bailey or Eberle. So
yeah, I wanted Kiefer Bellows, but we were already running into kind of a young guy wall here.
Yep.
Where we were struggling to get guys and into the lineup, and Josh Bailey's a better player than Jordan Eberle, in my opinion, but Jordan Eberle is a much better goal scorer.
Yep.
And then we were kind of worried about that.
Actual goal scoring in the top 6 is what had led me to wanting Eberle from the beginning.
Yep. So we spent some money here. I don't love this. I feel like I'm in a bad position. I might even in hindsight, I might even prefer just not taking anybody.
Just firing this one off into the sun.
Yeah. I just don't love any of these options here. They just don't feel good. But it is what it is. We took Eberle, and we have a decent goal scorer here.
Yeah, I'm more high on Eberle than AJ is. Obviously, there's concerns about that contract being 3 years, but those are fair to be on Josh Bailey as well.
I am not concerned about Josh Bailey's contract.
Okay, well, he's been trending down the same way Eberle has. That's all I'm saying.
Buddy, I waited a long time for Josh Bailey to turn into anything.
True enough.
Anything in the NHL.
True enough.
And then he got good, and it was like, this is the greatest thing. And now he's already 31, and I don't understand where time went.
New York Rangers up next. This one pretty quick and dirty for us. Anything of actual current significant NHL value really wasn't there. Their defense has absolutely nothing interesting. We already had our 3 goaltenders, so Kincaid didn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah. Kincaid would have been a 4th goaltender if we didn't want to go through the free agency process and just decided we wanted a 4th goalie. Like, I would have been fine with that. But
yeah, we ended up taking Gauthier.
Yep. Young goal scorer. Basically, the pick that there was no Josh Bailey or Jordan Eberle to convince us to do something differently.
Right.
So the pick that we didn't make with the Islanders and Bellows, we do make with Gauthier and the Rangers.
Yep.
The other conversation was my guy Colin Blackwell, but ultimately decided that we were not going to have a hard time with depth centers.
Correct. So we took the young RFA winger. Blackwell's name did come up, but
Yeah.
not very. Radish is exempt.
Wouldn't have taken him anyway.
Yep.
That was
Ottawa
a junior player though.
Ottawa up next.
Yep. We could treat this like Detroit and Buffalo. This was a really obvious choice to us.
Yep.
We agreed immediately. We like the player. We like where he's at in his contract, and we like that he's going to have value around the league to teams. So we took Chris Tierney. We're going to drop him into the middle of our lineup, and we're happy with that.
Yep, slam dunk the pick. He can sit there for 1 year. If he end up walks, oh look, it's Matty Beniers. That's how that works, basically.
Yep, exactly.
Next, Philadelphia. Protected Heart Ellis Provorov.
Philadelphia gave us some problems.
Yeah, this one was tough. I convinced AJ to spend all of our money, but
yeah, it took some convincing.
So, first of all, there was no interest in Gostisbehere at all.
Our defense it had shaped up in such a way that we were fine not worrying about the volatility that Gostisbehere has shown in his NHL career.
Yep.
Are we going to get the talent and the dynamic element that we got that we saw when he was at Union and early in his career? Are we going to get the guy that's been healthy scratched? Why pay $4 million to figure that out when we don't have any other when we don't necessarily need that skill set, because we took it with Jake Bean and later on with another guy we'll get to here in a sec.
So
just didn't need it.
Chat has come to the same talk that we had, with multiple people saying JVR and then some people saying Voracek, screw it.
And at the end of the day, that was kind of how we felt. We were like, look, we want to have a team that's watchable.
Yep.
We want some guys that are going to be able to put pucks in the net. And to be honest with you, a first line of Max Domi, Jonathan Drouin, and Jake Voracek was just one that we liked. We said, you know what? It may not be the best line in the league. It might be kind of an odd line, and it might not necessarily be a line that is going to play any defense at all.
Yep.
But
you know that going in.
We're also not trying to win 55 games here, because we really like the top of the next year's draft class. So Voracek it is.
Yeah, AJ wanted JVR. I pounded the table for Voracek, and I think the thing that put it over the top is Voracek plays the right side.
Yep, there was a little more versatility there. We ended up we ended up feeling a little heavier on the left side than we were expecting going in.
Yep. So it ended up being Voracek. Pittsburgh, we don't need to look at this one. This was another easy slam dunk. Marcus Peterson for Pedersen for us.
We got to this one. Both of us said Pedersen. Bam, done.
25 years old, $4 million for the next 4 years. Drop him into your defense and just vibe. Like
very good shot suppressor. Very easy. Just a rock solid defender. Good shot blocker. Not worrying about the offense. We'll get the offense from other guys. We wanted some defense from this one. And we got a in his prime player on a long-term contract. Easy peasy. This was no problem for me whatsoever.
Yep.
He's not a perfect defender, but he's effective. And this is drag and drop. We also wanted some guys that are going to be around for a little bit. This is it.
He's one of them.
This is a guy that we plan to keep for the remainder of his deal.
Yeah, he's one of the few defensemen on the team that you'd have to pay a king's ransom to get him out of here, basically.
Yep. We just don't. We like the player.
Yep.
We like the player. We need a skill set. We don't need to play on this one.
No interest in Tanev.
Yep. We didn't have any interest in Tanev. This was Jason Zucker or Marcus Pedersen, and based on how things were going for us, we really wanted Pedersen.
Yep. He fit in perfectly. San Jose.
Pettersson, at the end of the day, Pettersson is one of 2 players on our roster that if somebody came calling, we were not interested.
Yep. San Jose up next. This one pretty quick. They're forced to protect most of those defensemen. They have very little interesting. We ended up taking Matt Nieto because he's a known quantity. He's cheap and he's easy to drop into the bottom 6.
Yep. And we fully expect to trade him.
Yep. That dude will get flipped.
Yep.
Very, very easy.
That's exactly what that was all about for us.
Yep.
Like the player, like what he could do for the culture and all of that. All of that is all good and well. But this is about, we'll take Matt Nieto. He's just too cheap. $700K for 2 years. There will be a team out there. Hell, it could be Colorado. That will give us something for him, and we'll take whatever that is. If it's a 4th round pick, Yahtzee. If it's a 5th round pick, Yahtzee. If it's a 6th round pick, go F yourself. We're getting a 5th or higher, baby.
The ever curious St. Louis up next. This one was at least a conversation for us.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tarasenko being an option on the forward side. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the protection list on there. By the way, be sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Very much appreciated. It does help us out a ton with the channel. There have been a lot of you in here leading up to draft week, so I see y'all in here. You got to like and subscribe for us, please. The obvious interesting ones here are Vince Dunn on the defensive side and Tarasenko on the forward side.
Yep. And if we were including post deals, Tarasenko would have been our guy.
Yep. As their
post draft deals. If we were actually doing them, he would have been our guy.
Yep.
But we weren't. And to be honest, we just like Vince Dunn. I feel like there's not the upside of a Tarasenko, but there is not the same question mark of, well, how much money are you paying hoping that this guy is suddenly what he used to be 3 years ago?
Dunn is 24.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a buy low candidate after last year.
Yep.
He does the one thing that right now our defense lacks quite a bit of in being a legitimate puck mover.
Yep.
Starts to be a pretty easy fit.
Yep. We liked the idea of combining Vince Dunn, Jake Bean, Marcus Pettersson, and Mark Giordano.
Yep.
And, we have some other defenders that we're still going to take. We have some other defenders that we have taken. But for me, this was an easy one. Sammy Blais would have been of interest had we not had the bottom, the strength at the bottom of our forward core that we ended up with.
We ended up feeling pretty good about our bottom 6.
Yep.
So worked out. Tampa Bay. AJ, I'm just going to let you take this one because he was not going to allow me to take anyone but what we ended up taking. So
yep. This is our big William Karlsson play. Tampa Bay was I as Rudo said, I just would not move off of this. I want to take the chance on Matthew Joseph. One, I'm not helping Tampa Bay out of their cap problems. I'm not giving them $5 million to play with. They can suck it. I'm not taking a 30-year-old Andre Palat. I'm not messing with any of that nonsense. I'm taking Matthew Joseph, and I'm putting him in the middle of our lineup, and I want to see what he can do with more opportunity. He was awesome in the postseason, and I think he's a guy that is going to move up into somebody's lineup. I really like it. I really like Joseph as a player, and I want to roll the dice that he could be that he could be a breakout star for the Kraken. And if I'm right, and they end up with a center depth of Max Domi, Matthew Joseph, and Matty Beniers, they're going to be
pretty good.
That's exactly how you start a franchise, deep down the middle. I want to take the chance on Matthew Joseph's upside, and I did. Rudo let me. So that was where we went. This is my star swing right here. I want Matthew Joseph. And I'm not playing with bailing them out of any of their money. No.
Yep. He's letting Tampa rot in that cap hell for sure.
Yep. I'm not taking Cal Foot. Our other defenders were better, in my opinion, and similar age.
Yep.
So, for me, this was an easy one for me. I wanted this player. I wanted this player at the start of the process. Like, walked into this being like, I want Matthew Joseph. We're starting there.
Yep. I was cool with it. He convinced me that Yanni Gourde didn't make a ton of sense for us. So specifically, I do think we need to mention again, we're operating under them taking Veneer second overall.
Yep. And that was the big reason for no Yanni Gourde.
Yeah. Because if Beniers comes in as your planned second center, all of a sudden you're paying Yanni Gourde $5 million to be your third C, and that's
as he ages into his 30s.
Yep. So
and we just didn't want him. We didn't want to play.
Yep, exactly right. 5 picks left. Toronto, I guess 4 picks left. Toronto next. They obviously did the 4-4 protection. This one, we talked about it on yesterday's show. I think it came down to Alex Kerfoot or Jared McCann.
Yep. We went with the guy that we were more familiar with.
Yep. Kerfoot. I think slightly more versatile. Another guy that can play up on the second line if you need him to. Can play center. Has more experience playing center than McCann. How about we put it that way?
Yep. And we saw in Colorado can also be an effective left wing. We're good with that too.
Yep.
In fact, that's where he
ended up to start in our roster. So yeah,
he's on our left wing on opening night.
So,
although with a Max Domi injury, he would be doing
center. He would be most likely.
He would take that spot. But yeah.
So that one pretty quick and easy. We went with Kerfoot over McCann. Vancouver up next. This one was pretty gross. There, as far as immediate NHL impact, there just wasn't a ton there.
Yep, this one was pretty close to just not taking anybody, but we decided, hey, let's take a young guy that we like, and from an AHL perspective, and maybe he becomes something for us. Maybe he steals a job. We move a guy like Nieto and Nemesnikov and Tyler Benson and Cole Lind is our guy here.
Let him tear up the AHL, and
if
he great,
he rolls into the NHL for us. We're happy with that.
Yep, Holtby's name came up, but
we talked about it. We talked about it
seriously,
mostly as when we got to the end and we were looking at our goalies and we said, okay, we've got the Ben Bishop, Chris Driedger thing. How do we want to handle this?
Yep.
And then came to the decision that we did, and then that removed Holtby from consideration. Yep. We just weren't going to spend a bunch of money on like old goalies and stuff like
that can't reasonably be a starter at this point.
Right. Like I would rather take the chance that Ben Bishop is magically healthy than Braden Holtby's 4-year decline magically stops.
Yep.
And that was just the decision that we made.
Yep. Washington up next. Samsonov protected in net, and then they have the fairly obvious defenseman protected.
Who did we pick here? Oh, I remember. Okay.
Yeah, this one we kind of just sat on, and we're like,
so we picked Nick Jensen.
Yep.
We did talk about both Vitek Vanacek. We talked about Vanacek even after, we said, hey, what about Vanacek instead of Bishop? And then we would have Kakinen, Vanacek, and
Driedger.
And I don't know. I was just so blah about it. I'm not at all trusting of what Vanacek did.
It's also hard to commit to, right? Like, our game plan is not to keep Kakinen as a third goaltender for very long.
Right. We really like Kakinen as our backup and potentially maybe
future starter if he ever gets there.
He gets better and if Driedger isn't for real. And, we really liked what we did at the goaltender position. And so Vanacek was just sort of like honestly,
middle kind of pick. Yeah,
almost was just sort of numbers gamed out of it.
Yep.
So it was just like, we did talk about Connor Sheary as like a nice depth player, but again, felt good about our depth already, and we really wanted to give young guys jobs.
Yep.
And so taking all the Connor Shearys of the world means that we push those guys out because coaches love veterans.
Yep.
And we didn't want to be another organization that did that from day one.
Which you should know that from us two going in. Yeah.
Yep. And so we went with Nick Jensen. The big thing here, he was the cheaper of the two of the options between him and Brendan Dillon.
Yep.
He's younger and he's right-handed. So that makes him the rarer of the commodities. And we just figured that somebody would give us something for Nick Jensen.
A $2.5 million defenseman is always going to have some value, assuming he's serviceable, which Jensen is. So,
yep. That was really it. We don't intend to keep this player, but he was the one that we felt would have the most trade value between him and Brendan Dillon.
Yep.
And also, if somehow if people made higher offers for the other guys and we ended up stuck with Jensen,
you'd feel fine about it. Yeah.
We wanted the right-handed guy.
Yep.
So yeah, they're not young.
Jensen, 2 years left on his deal compared to Dillon's 3, also makes it a touch easier to flip. But
yep.
And
we'll show you guys what the full lineup looks like here at the end.
Yep. We're getting to it right here. Winnipeg will be a quick one. As much as AJ loves Mason Appleton,
and as much as we've talked about the possibility of Laurent Brossoit walking into this,
yep.
Again, we just went with there was an easy pick here for us.
Yep. Dylan DeMello in his prime, have him for 3 years, drop him into the defense, and as you'll see in a second, our defense I think shaped up pretty darn well.
Yep, we like Dylan DeMello.
Yep, Evan's not on the show, so DeMello.
Brendan Dillon, he would have murdered us.
Yeah, true.
He hates Brendan
Dillon.
Dillon.
Would not have been happy with that.
There would have been a hard veto.
All right. So
no, I'm not taking Derek Forborton. You would have had to pay me a first-round pick to take that guy. He sucks.
That is all 30 teams with a player selected from. Should we start with the goalies?
Yeah, let's toss our goalie graphic up.
So we have Dreger as the pseudo starter. Ben Bishop probably goes into that role if he's healthy. And then Kakinen, because he's not waiver eligible, gets sent to the AHL until that situation gets sorted out. I think it really is pretty simple here. If Bishop is hurt, he LTIRs, great. If he's healthy, he's your starter, and you play him and look to flip him.
Yep.
Defense up next. As you can see, we went with pairings of Giordano and DeMello to start. Didn't love that pairing, but we really liked the Pettersson-Dunn pairing.
Yeah, we really liked Pettersson-Dunn as our actual second pairing.
Yep. So that worked out pretty well, and then ultimately we went Bean Zadorov for the bottom pair with Lauzon and Fleury. Backing that up with Jensen, the most likely for us to be looking to move out, as well as, look, if someone calls about anybody except for Pettersson, we're open to taking offers, right?
Yep. Our priority is to trade. Our priority is Jensen, and then the highest offer between Zadorov, Lauzon, and Fleury gets traded. We want to keep AD, so we want to move just Jensen and one of the other guys.
Yep.
So. Yeah, I know that the Kraken are going to work really hard to sign Dougie in free agency. I think that they're going to be aggressive in that market, and I think they're going to have a good shot at it because of Ron Francis's relationship there, and we'll see. But trying to project a mock an expansion draft and then free agency was a lot, so we were just like, let's just draft a team.
Yep, what they do in free agency can come later.
Yeah. If we knew more about like if they'd already agreed to a deal or whatever, like with Dreger, we would have just added that in there. Yep. He would have been the pick. We would have just moved on. But that wasn't the case.
Yet.
And yeah. So,
and then we have our forward core. We went with the top line of Druman, Domi, Voracek, as we mentioned. Our second line for now is Kerfoot, Tierney, and Eberle. Nemesnikov, Joseph, and Fisher on the third line, and then rounding out with Nieto, Comfort, and Wagner, with Trennan as our healthy scratch. Since we're running 8D, only one scratch there. You can send the rest to the AHL.
We really want to move out Nieto and Nemesnikov.
Yep.
And then with Domi out at the start of the year, we want to find jobs, especially for Gauthier, Benson, and Lind.
Yep. It shouldn't be tough. You're also taking calls probably on Tierney.
Yeah, we'll take calls on Tierney as they come in, but the priority of moving him isn't as high until Domi comes back from injury. When Domi gets back, I think we'll more aggressively take Tierney calls.
So that's the full roster, and then we have shout out Jay Fresh and his awesome graphics here. A little war breakdown of the entire team projected as we built it. 86-point team. That's not bad.
86 points in that division. Like, look, it's, to be honest, it's genuinely, I say this in all seriousness, it's not as bad as we wanted.
True.
We're kind of stuck in a zone that we don't want to be in, where we're a little better than we wanted to be. But there's also, like, we're going to move out Matt Nieto. We're going to move out
some of those pieces for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to move out, a Chris Tierney and a Nemesnikov. We're going to move some of those guys, and whatever happens with our young guys is fine.
And as pretty much expected from the expansion draft, lacking in the top end forward department, particularly defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And then our defense is actually pretty darn solid.
I really do like that defense.
Yep.
And our cap hit, so we had a handful of guys that were unsigned, but again, we're planning on moving some guys out.
Yep.
But our cap hit as it stands is $76 million.
$76 million. Do still need to sign Dreger and Dunn, I believe, are the two major ones.
Yeah. A bunch of RFAs, but some of these guys are going to be moved out. Some of these guys, and so the point is that our cap won't be problematic for us.
Yep. You'll be well over the floor and decently under the cap. Not a big problem.
With contracts to give Benson and Lind at forward, and on defense, Bean, Zadorov, and Dunn. But again, prioritizing moving Zadorov and Bean and Dunn's deal won't be too big of a deal.
Yep, exactly right.
I do think that the Pacific Division will be better than the conversation around it suggests right now, but it should not be
very good.
Yeah, it will still be a sea of mediocrity. You're basically combining the worst of the Canadian division and the worst of the Central or the West division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have Vegas looking their chops at that division for sure.
Yeah. It's Vegas like is pissed that they had to deal with Colorado this year, because next year it's free reign.
Yep.
With really only Edmonton looking like a team that could give them any kind of problem.
Competitive, yeah.
Right now they don't have anybody to stop the puck, so they've got some work to do.
All right. Well, y'all told us you like long episodes yesterday, so
yep. And I make
another 90-minute one. Yeah.
For these ones being a little bit longer.
Yep. For sure. The mock drafts, you gotta get into the conversations. So this was a fun one. Really excited for tomorrow night. Be sure to tune in. We'll be watching along live here on YouTube for the expansion draft. Again, like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want to see when we go live. Should be a good time. Random question: does Vegas fall off in 2 or 3 years? Probably, unless they can escape their cap situation. Like, never say never, but clock's ticking.
It seems like a fair expectation, but we'll see.
So, yeah. Anyway, tomorrow night should be fun. Tonight, come on down to the bar, play some trivia if you would like.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to be at the bar tomorrow night. We can't be. Unfortunately, Rudo and I have Tuesday night obligations, so we can't be there for trivia night tonight.
Yep. not this time, but we'll be there tomorrow night if you want to come on down and say hello. I think we'll both get there a good bit before the expansion draft actually starts.
Excitement.
So, yep. Should be a fun time. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be kind of a crazy week for us because we go right into the entry draft after that.
Yeah, we're doing a mock entry draft on Thursday, and Rudo and I have never been less prepared for a draft in our entire lives.
Straight up.
Not that we are unprepared for it, just that comparatively.
After last year where we went 100 players deep and felt good about it.
Yeah. Well, I do that every year except this one. So this one will be tougher. Yep. Trying to play catch up all week has been rough. Definitely a struggle, but we got you covered. Please hope to see you tomorrow night, whether it's in the chat or at the bar. We're going to get out of here, though. Thank you for watching, and until next time, we will talk to you all later.